but the dinner table was filled with generational recipes traced back and able to survive the distance of 6,500 miles away. Their hearts on our plates, those generational and ancestral recipes linking us to our culture. Food is a memory that kept me grounded, and food is the epicenter for which it draws me to other people, to those significant people in my life. And because food was home and home was food, I used to navigate towards people based on the culture that they shared with food.
Welcome back to Turn and Burn. Today we have our first West Coast guest, Fabiola, aka Tita, out of Portland, Oregon. She is a super smart, super entrepreneur, running multiple food businesses despite coming to the industry in a particularly non-traditional way. Through cooking and restaurant ownership, she has reconnected with home and family far from her native Peru. We are so happy to welcome her to Turn and Burn to tell her story. Thank you for joining us, Fabiola.
I'm super excited to be here. So
we like it. Welcome again, Chef Fabiola. So again, Sarah mentioned your path, I guess, as far as how you got started with not just one, but multiple restaurants. So kind of walk us through that journey, because like Sarah said, it was totally not traditional. Typically, we get, someone who worked in the industry growing up, or is managing, or some sort of involvement in the restaurant industry. You, however, totally different. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this.
I definitely didn't come from food industry. I was born and raised in Peru, and over there I went to school actually for marketing. Lima is a city, I would say something like LA. So imagine LA, but bigger. We are like 13 million people in Lima, I think. So it's a huge city. It's a lot of everything happening all the time. And I just wanted to, since I'm very artistic as well, I wanted to go and explore art, like somewhere else. And I've always liked dancing. But I couldn't see myself in Miami neither. It was kind of the same thing. It was another big city, too many things happening. So I moved out here. I went to Europe. I went to Southeast Asia. I went back to Peru. And then I came back here after about a year. Because, of course, I loved cooking, like I said, but doing it industrially, like in commercial, is different, right? I didn't know what type of equipment to buy or how to buy in bulk and things like that. So there wasn't a lot of Peruvian food cars out here. In fact, maybe there wasn't any when I opened mine. So I contacted Don Lucho's, which is a food car that was out in Seattle. By the way, he now has a full restaurant, a bar, like in the food car. He's doing amazing. But back then it was his food cart, and I just went on Instagram from my private Instagram to the food carts in Instagram, and I said, "Hey, I'm Fabiola, and I am here in Portland. I'm Peruvian, and I'm trying to open a food cart. Do you think that I can come and meet you?" I had no idea who I was actually talking to. And this person, which his name is Carlo, by the way, he's like, "Yeah, come over. I'll show you everything." So I went out there. And, I presented myself. I went with my sister. He was amazing. He's like, "Of course, I want to help other Peruvians be successful and open their carts." But he did say, "This is not easy. You're going to have to be carrying a lot of heavy boxes. When you go to buy in Restaurant Depot, like all the things that you need, no one's going to help you. You're going to have to carry everything. But, you can come with me and you can see everything that I have to buy. You can work in the restaurant if you want." So I started going there a few weekends out of the months that I was trying to learn as much as I possibly can in the industry. But the funny thing is that I told him afterwards, after I opened my cart and everything, I was like, "Carlo, they do help me in Restaurant Depot carrying all my stuff. I don't know if it's because, I'm a woman, kind of good looking, maybe, but I get help all the time putting all my stuff in the car." I told him, "Just that's not where I'm struggling." But he was laughing so hard because I'm like, "I never get help." I was like, "I always do." They just put all the stuff in my car. So after that, I started going there, like I said, a few weekends and working in his food cart. And I would just hide, I remember, in a corner through the window and just creep at people. I would go through the window of the food cart and just stare at people and creep at them eating the Peruvian food. I would cry, I would feel happy, I would feel so emotional. I was like, how do you guys just not want to see if they finish the food? Like, I want to make sure that they like it. And they're like, well, you obviously get used to it and stuff like that. But even until today, when somebody's ordering something, I kind of like want to see if they finish their smoothie, things like that. I definitely felt like a creep, but I couldn't handle myself. It was, my first time serving my food and the culture, and people so excited, and then come back and say thank you to the people in the food cart. And even though I was I wasn't doing much, I still felt like that thank you was to me. And I'm like, you're welcome. I mean, this is awesome. So that's when I realized that was a confirmation for me to know that I wanted to do the same here. And it was great. So I thank him for his help and for bringing me out there with me and my sister. At the beginning, he was like, I don't really have a lot for you guys to do except for observe and maybe pour sauce into the little containers. So I was just like, that's what I was doing while trying to see everything else that was happening. But it was a great experience. Carlo, I'm sorry that you don't get help at Restaurant Depot. I do. Yeah, it was great learning from him.
What made you decide to go from one successful idea to now branching out into all these other locations? Like, is that just your drive, or is it something where you have some kind of grand plan of like dominance of the Portland food area? Like, what's going on there? Because I just think it's intense and amazing that you have that much energy.
Yeah. Well, imagine, just picture my brain going everywhere. That's what it does. And then I just catch this idea and make it happen. That's kind of what happens. But also because since I opened the first one, and I'd like to hire more Latin American people so that it keeps the essence. It's obviously easier to teach recipes to somebody that comes from that background because they cook sometimes with same spices and things like that. And because it just feels great for me to be able to speak Spanish also around everybody there. So one was because I wanted to just hire more people. Even though I know that it can be a big headache for a lot of people, for a lot of business owners to have staff, for me, it was super fun because I get to know somebody else. If somebody was an immigrant, I would put them in contact with my lawyer and get them set up, or just help wherever I can, because I was new here one time as well. And I would have liked to have somebody to guide me a little bit through things. I kind of had to figure it out on my own. So having people that I know that come from other places, or that are, maybe their English isn't super like as well as somebody else, I just like to help them. It also, it's just great because I wish that somebody else would have done that for me. So at least I can do it for somebody else. And I knew that opening more businesses would also mean hiring more people, hiring more like people from South America and Latin America in general, creating a bigger family, which right now, truly, my employees, if we want to call it the way they are, my team, they really are my family. When I'm away, when I go on a vacation, I have one of my managers, she actually stays in my house to take care of my dogs. That's how deep our relationships are. So I just wanted to connect that, since I didn't know a lot of people in Oregon. I really didn't know anybody when I moved out here. Making connections and friends through my business, it's been the best. So one of the reasons was I will keep my family bigger, make it bigger and bigger. The other one was because it just like presented the opportunity to open more businesses. There was one food cart pot in Happy Valley, like that I always wanted to be at. I thought it was so beautiful. And I talked to the owner, and she said that whole food cart pot was full, but she was opening a new one out here in Troutdale. And I was like, okay, let's do this. I want to be part of this. She said it was going to be the exact same way as the one in Happy Valley. So it was a great opportunity. So that's how the second one happened. And then after the second food cart, which was also a funny story because we were going to open somewhere in February or March or April, and then the construction wasn't fully done. So everything was ready except that there was no food or anything inside the food cart because she needed more permits before opening. So my mom, my sister, and I decided to go on a cruise for my birthday, which is April 30th. So we go on the cruise, and then the owner is like, we're opening. And we're in the cruise, and I'm like, oh, I need to go back. So we came back, and I think we came back, maybe it was a Thursday, and that Saturday we had to open. So all Friday, we just prepped forever. We just prep, and open on Saturday. So the third location, the way it actually happened is that I was working at this food cart at my second location, and I just wanted a green juice. I wanted something fresh, and there wasn't anything around here, out here in Troutdale. And there was a spot available inside the food hall, the food cart pot where we were. So I'm just talking to my mom one day, sitting down in the table, and I said, well, what if we do it? What if we open the juice bar? Why not? And my mom is just like me. Even though my mom is a lawyer and she had to work on that her whole life because we lost my dad when I was very young. So she had to keep her stable job for me and my sister. But she always wanted to be an entrepreneur. She really wanted to, but she just never had the chance because she wanted to make sure that we were okay first. And which, by the way, that's why I also made her part owner. One time, a couple of years ago, I said, Mom, do you want to be part of this? Do you want to own part of this business with me? Just because I wanted to give her back a little bit from her sacrificing everything for us is the minimum I could do. She works even harder than me, even though she shouldn't, but she's here working all the time. And so my mom, since she has her entrepreneurial mind as well, she's like, yes, let's do it. We're opening a juice bar. Well, in Peru, we have so much fresh fruit and vegetables, and I am used to just drinking juice and smoothies over there. So we did it. And I told the owner my idea, and she's like, well, I have other people that are interested. So if you want this, it has to be done now. So she's like, like a month. And I'm like, it's more fuel for my brain to keep it up and do it faster. So we just started making a bunch of recipes, went to different juice bars to figure out what type of machines they use for the cold press juice, for the smoothies and everything. We started doing acai bowls, and it kind of happened like that, Sarah. Honestly, it was a little bit of like opportunity out there that I took with some ideas, with the thrive. I do think I have like a lot of thrive, and I just want to do these things because my dad was an actual entrepreneur. He had his own company, and he always dreamed of just being big. So I'm trying to live through his dream, really, and honor him. So, yes.
It's about family.
Well, I can tell you very quick about my dad. Him and my mom had a business together. They created a company for cleaning products, and they would sell it to stores out there in Peru. But he also created a couple board games, and he just had all these ideas too, just like me, and would put them out there and just do it. And my grandma always tells me, you are so similar to your dad. And he couldn't get to the next step. He was on his way, but then the company that they had where they were doing all the cleaning products caught on fire. He was trying to turn off the fire, trying to figure it out, and he inhaled too much smoke. And so my mom was pregnant of my sister, 7 months pregnant. Yes. And she was already a lawyer, but never worked she always worked for the company as a lawyer. So, and I was like 3.5 years old. So after a week, he passed away. And of course, the company had to be dissolved, and she had to just find a job as a lawyer, which, by the way, she made it amazing life. She became a super successful lawyer, which I'm also super proud of her. So actually, if you ask me why I do this, is because at some point I want to at least be right there with she's always going to be here, because I don't know how she did it on her own and had the guts to just races and all of that by her own when the love of her life, passed away. But the fact that I can just be a little bit just right here, if she's there, is just amazing for me. So if anything, I do this to honor my dad and all the things that he wanted to achieve that he couldn't, and for my mom, because I want her to feel proud of us. Honestly, that's it. I know I sound like a kid, but I still want her to be proud of me, even though she says she is. But I just want to accomplish more so that she knows that all of her effort and the things that she couldn't achieve on her own, or all the things that she had to sacrifice for us, were worth it, and that we're here trying to make a difference, trying to put our name out there, show our culture, give other families that come from the same background as us more opportunities. So everything just fulfills my heart. So the bigger I get, I try to stay grounded, but I try to keep the essence. I try to keep hiring people from Latin America and help them wherever I can, and just that's it. It's a little bit of a combination of everything.
It's amazing to me what you've accomplished, but yeah, that just makes it even bigger and even more important, and the fact that you're bringing to it the spirit that I think of as the entrepreneurial spirit, where there is just as much sacrifice as there is profit. You're doing a tremendous job. You did make me cry a little bit, but I forgive you. Thank you for sharing.
That's amazing.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm inspired, and I'm glad you shared that story.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, all right. So you've only been doing it for a few years. Obviously, tremendous accomplishments across the board. I would absolutely love for you to share with the audience some of the hijinks that have happened.
Well, first of all, as a food car owner, you need to know about electricity and gas and how all these things work that I didn't know. And I mean, I burned my eyebrows and my eyelashes multiple times. And yes, the first time I cried. Then after that, I just started laughing because I'm like, okay, you know what? Obviously, nothing bad's going to happen. This is funny. It smells like burnt, but you learn as you go. Just because sometimes you forget to turn off the knob, let's say on the 4-burner, and so the gas was still coming in, and then you turn it and boom. Wow. But after that, you realize that it's just a little bit of fire, and it'll just burn a little bit your eyelashes, and you'll be okay. But yeah, I think the story that I shared with you was my piercing, maybe. I think it was on the first food cart, and we had a huge event. I believe it was Peruvian Independence Day. So the lines were huge. We were like, I don't know if you guys have ever worked in a food cart, but having 5 or 6 people in that food cart, it's so crowded, and you're just bumping with everybody. So we were 5 people in there, just so you can imagine the situation, picture it. And I'm taking orders, and as I'm taking an order, the table goes right by my belly button, and then I step back, and the whole piercing rips out and starts bleeding, and I can feel the blood coming out, and I'm in a super rush. So like my adrenaline is all the way up. I'm really not feeling pain, except for I want to laugh in front of the client, but I can't because he's, so I'm just finished the order, and then I just drop, and I'm like, guys, can somebody find this piercing? It's somewhere in here. And it was just so funny. Everybody's laughing, which I actually appreciate, because this can really go 2 ways. And I can just freak out, and everybody freak out and be like, oh, are you okay? Which, of course, people ask me if I was okay. But the fact that we took it lightly and laughed about it was actually helped me not freak out. So, and I think that sometimes it's not so common in the food industry, where we're in a rush, where I've gotten that way too. But I have to remind myself that if I take things more in the comedy side, which is why I love that you guys do this, because even for me, it's just a reminder of all these things. Because as you grow, maybe you're not so much inside one spot anymore, and you just remember all these stories, and it's just great. This is also therapy for me. I just make everything that I can as therapy. I'll take it.
It's funny. I tell Sarah, this is my safe haven when I get a chance to do this. And we were just speaking about this the other day, and I said I love doing this podcast because it takes me away from everything that I have going on, and it literally just puts me in a good space. So I love this hour 15, whatever it is that we do, because again, it gives me a chance to kind of connect with others that do this, and just the stories that you share. Obviously, like you said, is sometimes we just get in this mode where it's just go, and we forget about everything else that is going on within the restaurant or the food truck. And it's just get the tickets out, right? That's the main thing we're focused on. And it's pretty cool to see when you sit back and realize the accomplishment that you've done. It's pretty cool to see that, right?
Yeah, I can imagine with you and your background, it's got to be a lot of also stress and just having a little piece of like light, just light and things a little bit more on the comedy side. It's just refreshing for this industry. It really is.
For somebody who's cooking and trying to run the business and, and bouncing between one cart to another cart, how do you figure out where you need to be and and kind of split your time between the different carts? Like, are there certain ones that need more attention? Is it or is there one that you just love to be near, like the little donut one, which I would never leave?
I love that one. I spend a lot of gas, you guys. I wish gas was cheaper because I just drive so much everywhere. But the way I figure it out, I don't figure it out. I go everywhere they need me. That's the truth. I like to put myself in a shift in every location if I can, or at least 2-3 locations per week, just because it's different when you go and supervise when you're actually there. So I like to actually be there and see clients because I don't want to lose that part of me connecting with people. But other than that is whenever they need me and whoever calls me. And if we run, sometimes for the juice bar, we of course have somebody that comes and does our delivery for us with all the products. But sometimes in one day we sold 25 orange juices that we didn't expect. So I just need to go buy more orange and bring it, or more strawberries if everybody order acai bowls that day. And so it's just a lot of bouncing. I live in Troutdale, which is about 30 minutes away from Portland. And out here in Troutdale, I have one of the food carts, one of the juice bars, and the donut shop. So it's great. If anything, I'm mostly in Troutdale in that food cart pod, which I don't know if you guys have it out there, but over here, a food cart pod means carts around, then a building in the middle with more vendors inside, and a bar, and it has AC or air conditioning, and it's super nice. So we have that over here in that spot, and then the other one's out in Happy Valley, which is another 30 minutes, and the other one's in downtown, which is also 30 minutes. So it's just a lot of driving wherever they need me.
Your journey, from what I'm hearing, and the way you are, the mentality that you have, the fact that you went out on a limb, not just betting on yourself. That's number one. Sarah and I talk about this all the time as business owners. It takes a special person to have that courage, right? To say, I'm going to do this. But the way you went about it, going to some previous owners and saying, hey, teach me what I need to know, right? And then you had a vision that you had for it to bring your entire family back with you, right, from Peru, to
Yes.
be here with you, and then to grow your business to where it is today. I think that is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
And if you haven't really sat back and really thought about your accomplishments, you should definitely, because you've done everything you set out to do. And it's not easy as business owners, Sarah, right? We know this. So kudos to you, ma'am, as far as having that vision, having it written down to say, you know what, this is what I want to do. And then having the courage to go tell somebody, you're going to teach me what I need to know in order to pull this off. So I thought that was pretty impressive as far as your story is concerned.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred. Like I said, you're going to make me cry, and this is supposed to be a fun podcast.
But did you find that piercing, or did someone find it and we just never really? Yeah.
That piercing got lost forever and ever.
Question is, lost or eaten? That's the true question.
I don't know, but it was just a funny situation. It was like, oh, find the piercing. It just never showed up.
But you said something that was interesting to me. You said when you opened up the juice bar in Troutdale, it was kind of more so luck. And, a lot of people, talk about luck and all that stuff a lot. But to me, luck is where opportunity and preparation meets, right? And so I guess my next question is, have you thought about, or will you get lucky and open up a brick and mortar? Have you thought about that?
I have thought about it, about brick and mortar, more than just like over the counter. I have thought about it. I potentially would do it. It's just like these things that I'm doing right now work. They are profitable as well, less investment. So it's easier for me to keep growing. So, and I like the fact that I am in a communal place. So that's the difference between if I open my own brick and mortar. Of course, I will still have my own staff and have my own community, but here I'm always surrounded by other business owners. And that's just what I like. There's a lot of collaboration between businesses. It's over here in Portland, it's not like you are my competition. You are right next to me, so we're competing each other. It's more like, what do we do to make this place more fun? Like, do we bring bingo nights and do we do paint nights and things like that? So I like the environment of the food halls a lot. And for a brick and mortar, I feel like I would have to, maybe contact my friend Carla again and can I now learn a little bit more about your restaurant now? Because I need to learn more about the back end, the back of the house, the front of the house, in a food car or in my over-the-counter restaurants. We do everything. There is not really one position for anybody. We are the ones washing the dishes, and we're the ones taking the orders, and we're the ones making the orders, and we're the preps. We just do it all. So I would say that I would need to prepare a little bit more to do that. And it's there, but it's not a main priority. I think right now the main priority, I'm working on another project to open another juice bar. So inside a food hall. So I'm doing that for now, but it's there in my mind. It's just not a priority for now.
I love your spirit, and I just love like how much you're enjoying this instead of being like, oh my God, it's so hard.
Much.
Because of course I'm sure there are days, right? Yeah, but
also, I think depends on the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Also, I don't have kids or anything. I have 3 dogs, and that's about it. So, I don't really have a lot of responsibilities besides my businesses. So I know that can make it easier. I know it's probably harder when you are married and maybe your partner is not involved in that or things like that. I haven't experienced that yet. But I think what helps is having my sister and my mom. Because the first year I opened, the business was just under my name, and my sister came and supported me and helped me, and she worked a lot more than I could afford paying her. So after the first year, it's when I told her, do you want to just be part of it? I could obviously give you a bonus for all this year, or I can just give you shares of the company because I think you deserve it. And I think having somebody that you can trust, it's better, even though sometimes working with family can be hard, but it's also very rewarding. You're spending more time with them and you can trust them fully. And so having my mom, having my sister has been a tremendous help because it's not just everything under my shoulders. And good friends and, good employees that just want to support you because they believe in you. And that part is amazing. Like, they do a lot more for me than honestly I can even afford. I give them as much as I possibly can, but I wish I could give them even more, which hopefully I get there at some point.
I mean, I think that having an advertising background is probably helping you guys a lot. Because, that's kind of how I found you, was on Instagram. You guys have all these Instagram accounts that are also super active. Are you guys doing that yourselves, or do you have like a team of people that does that? Well,
first, I always told my mom, don't worry, because I know that she probably felt at the beginning that she paid my whole career for no reason when I told her I wasn't going to stop. And same with my sister, because out in Peru, it's more common for the parents to pay for the education. And I said, I promise, man, that I'm going to use this again, which I am now. The first few years, we did it ourselves. I just did most of it. My sister's more on the back end of things. She likes to do all the administration, payroll, like all those things. And I'm more the face of it and the marketer and the creative one. So starting last, I think it was November, is that we hired somebody to help do because I opened the donut shop, so then it was too many accounts. But it was never just like, okay, here you go. I'm always constantly giving the ideas, making the videos and everything. So in fact, there was a reel or a TikTok that went viral a couple of days ago, and it's been the time of my life to just see all the comments and all the stuff. You guys have to watch it because it's just so funny. And I don't know if you guys have TikTok, but maybe you can see it right there, but it's pretty much like, and you probably see it. how everybody thinks restaurant owner walks in and I'm like walking in all nice, and then how we really walk in and I'm pushing the cart, which of course I'm making it extra and it's a stage. I know that I have to pull the cart and I know how to do these things, but it's for the video. But on TikTok, I received so many comments that I was just laughing, saying like, this girl clearly doesn't ever, like, she doesn't work hard. She only works the first on the first part of the video, you know, because she doesn't know how to bring a cart in or things like that. Or what do you mean? Like, there are vendors that do all the deliveries nowadays, just things like that. And I'm like, this. Obviously, I'm doing this. This is a joke. I know how to bring a cart in, or I have people saying like, yeah, she probably what she means is her husband's restaurant and she just works in there. And I'm like, I don't even have a husband. What are they talking about? But when something goes viral, I guess you get a lot of love, but a little bit of hate too, for no reason. But it was just so funny to watch that and going viral for making a funny video that people somehow take it serious, that's the way I bring things in, the juice bar.
So you haven't really talked about your other concepts as far as with your donut shops and how that kind of came about. You want to touch on that for us real quick?
Yes. So, like I said, we opened the first juice bar, and this was after a few months of opening the second food cart. And because we couldn't find anything fresh around the city, we just decided to open that juice bar there. And it went great. It was successful. I have some weird like creations that people just like in smoothies. So, and so it went well. And I opened a second location of the juice bar in downtown, in Portland downtown. And inside that food hall where I am, there was a spot for donuts that I always saw that they did so well. And at the same time, where I have my other juice bar out here in Charlotte, the first one that I opened, there was a spot available right across from me. So one day my brain just went, oh, what if I just open a donut shop? I mean, I'm all about a balanced life. And I like to work out, but I also like to eat my sandwiches. So I can, have a juice bar in this side, and then right up in front, I have my donut, and people can have both. So that's kind of how it happened. So I talked to the owner. I asked her if she had anybody that was going to take that spot, and she said not yet, but there's a few people, and I'm always like, okay, I'll make it happen in just give me a few weeks. And because of the marketing background, I think it's easier for me to come up with a concept. And the name of the donuts, it's called Little Funky Donuts, because they're little and they're funky. They're bite-sized donuts. So I come up with the concept, the logo. I asked my mom to get all the signage and stuff in Peru, because it also obviously is way cheaper, but I just like to support the people that do it over there. And she just brought it everything. We set it up in, I think, a month, or maybe a little less than a month, and just opened the donut shop. So it's the most fun ever when I see people getting their green juice and then going across and getting the donuts. I'm like, yes, you get that balance. I love that. Yeah. And there, like I said, it's little donuts, they're mini donuts. So people can just have one and it's okay, and share with everybody else. It's great for parties and for sharing.
So I'm going to live and say your favorite concept to work at is probably your donut shops, right?
They are so fun. Yes. Also, it requires the least amount of work, I would say. And sometimes, work smarter, not harder. But I can't leave behind the concept of the food carts, because that's where my essence is. And I love the juice bars. I've always been super into fitness. And so having the juice bar is also part of me. And the donuts just makes everything more fun. So it's a great combination.
They are super cute donuts. Like, we're gonna tag all of Tita's accounts in the descriptions and things that we put out for the show. But yeah, you have to go check out these donuts because they are super, super cute. Like the decorations, and the name is perfect because they are absolutely little funky donuts, right? I mean, they're absolutely adorable. And you guys come out with like a different flavor every week. Aren't you rolling out like little custom flavors? Like, so it's not just a standard assortment, right? You're coming out with other ideas all the time.
Mhm.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, we change 10 flavors every week. We have 18 flavors, and 10 of them change every
Who does
Monday.
that? Like, who's doing your recipe development? Is that still all you and your mom and sister?
We have a person that knows more about that and taught us everything. In fact, it's the shop that I told you that was right beside mine in the second juice bar. That's who I taught. I was like, hey guys, I have this idea. And that's how it all started. So we use their commercial kitchen to get the donuts. So I bring them every morning to travel, which is why the gas also a situation.
You're with fitness people doing juice bar stuff and donut stuff. You have to be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, when do you start going?
That's why when I said 7 a.m. for me, because I'm totally chill. I've been awake already. Yes.
Cup of coffee, right?
But, yeah. The team that does the donuts sometimes get there around 4:30, maybe 5 a.m.
Yeah. Bakery
Yes. But I usually wake up around 5 a.m. or something. So
doesn't stop, ladies and gentlemen, right? That's incredible. Like, I love it. Like, it's just like it's so empowering, and like it just makes me want to go out and do like a million things today. Like, it's just like that's the kind of energy that I really wanted in this show, right? Is that like that fire? You know, it's like it's such an incredible thing to bring, and it's so inspiring to listen to. And just, you know, again, like the joy that you have out of this whole thing is just awesome. And again, when you surround that with all the love and community and everything that you're building and that it's based on and that you're referring back to, and, you know, I just love your story. And I'm so glad that you came on today. And thank you again for sharing some of the deeper parts of who you are with our audience. That just meant the world, I know, to me, and I'm sure to Fred. And so thank you so much, Fabiola, for being on the show today.
Well, you guys are so easy to talk to. It's like talking to friends. So I just want to share everything. So I felt extremely comfortable, but it's been a great time. This is, like I said, therapeutic to me to talk about these things, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, you guys know that on the daily basis, sometimes the day goes by so fast. I can't sit down and enjoy for a second something, or breathe and be like, okay, this is where I am right now. It just flies. And I need these things. I feel like a lot of us need these things, these sit-togethers where we can talk about our memories and just bring it back, because that's what feeds me to keep going. Sometimes when we have moments like this, or where I can sit down and talk a little bit about this, it just grounds me and makes me appreciate the small details and the stories that truly, those are the ones that keep me going. So thank you for this.
Thank you. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. And now for the shameless plug. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider buying us a $5 round or becoming a monthly supporter by visiting turnburn.co, selecting support, and clicking the Buy Us a Beer button.
Please also stay tuned for podcast updates by subscribing to our newsletter at turnburn.co, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Turn Burn Show. Thanks again for joining us, and stay out of the weeds.